Thanks everyone for having us up, Christy, Don, and the whole organizing crew. Growing forests, we've been around for just a couple of years now, and we've really been working at giving woodlot owners who are struggling with the question of what to do with their woodlots a new option for where their woodlots can go, and give those woodlot owners confidence that the woodlots will be taken care of, that they can get fair market value for their properties, and the properties will be managed well into the future. Our whole business model is built around purchasing woodlots from woodlot owners who want or need fair market value from their properties but don't want to see them clear cut. And of course there's a lot of pressures that can drive into a woodlot getting cut. We've all seen what happens sometimes, unfortunately, when woodlot owners find themselves in a bad situation and need to generate money quickly. There's always someone up the road that we can turn to, but it often means woodlots being more aggressively harvested. And it's a really touchy subject because, you know, there's so much talk about how bad clear cutting is for the environment, and there's not always a lot of understanding of what goes into the dynamics, the personal dynamics that result in a woodlot getting cut. I lived in the city from 2006 to 2012, and Christy and I actually went to school together at the time. And any of you that have known me for a while know that I've been working on this question of how do we improve the economics of good private woodlot management since that time. And I'd always run into people who didn't grow up in rural communities who would say to me, like, how can someone clear cut 20 acres of beautiful forest? How can 100 acres of forest get clear cut? What kind of a person would you be to do that? And I'd always remind them, guys, like these woodlot owners are people just like you and me. And it's amazing, people just like you and me with the same kind of financial pressures, paying off our houses, putting kids through school, helping the grandkids go through school, putting a bit of money away for a rainy day, and hopefully cover us through our older times. There's not a lot of awareness in this province about private woodlot ownership in general. I'm amazed, always amazed, when I talk to people who didn't grow up in rural areas that don't realize that 70% of the province is privately owned. That 5 million hectares in Nova Scotia is owned by 30,000 individuals like all of us here. That is it's surprising the number of people that don't actually know that. And so when woodlot owners get older and they don't necessarily have the next generation to hand their properties on to, it's always the way things have played out more often than not is that woodlots get sold, and when they get sold, they often get sold to the highest bidder, someone who will pay the most for it, and that's more often than not someone who's going to cut all the marshmallow trees off the property. And this is the dynamic that we stepped into at Growing Forests to give woodlot owners an alternative. So we go out and we purchase woodlots from woodlot owners, and then we put those properties under management, sustainable ecological forest management. The reason why we can do this is because we have a really unique revenue model. Our revenue model allows us to buy properties, pay for them, the majority of those properties, by selling carbon credits off those woodlots. And because we can pay for the majority of the purchase price of the property and not take on a crippling amount of debt, it means that we can be patient in how we manage the forest, do what's right by the forest, manage it to become an older, healthier forest. We all understand, and any of us who've been working in the woods for 20, 30, 40 years, and you know, I might only be 40 years old, but I've probably been walking in the woods for 39 of those 40 years. We understand that with time and sustained attention, you can grow more wood through good forest management than you can from just cutting things down every 35 or 40 years. And that's what our revenue model allows us to do at Growing Forests. The other thing that's really unique about us as a company is that we are community owned. We are owned by almost 100 Nova Scotians spread around the province. So when the founding group of us first came together around this idea, we realized that there were a lot of people in our communities that, similar to us, wanted to see a better option for private woodlots, for how those private woodlots can be managed. We knew those people were throughout our communities. And so we invited everyone in the province who wanted to invest in the company. And we ended up with nearly 100 shareholders collectively investing just over $1.1 million to get the company off the ground. We went out and bought our first 900 acres. We passed it through certification for the generation of carbon credits. And now we're moving on with growing our land base. We've made some significant strides in marketing and selling our carbon offsets, which we'll have an announcement later in the summer about. And what that means is that we're going to be able to work with landowners over the coming years, those landowners who are struggling with what to do with their properties, want or need fair market value from them, and don't want to see them clear cut. We'll be able to offer them a new option that wasn't on the table earlier on. So I don't see a clock ticking, and knowing Christy, she wouldn't hesitate to cut me off if I was going too long, but just to be maybe on the safe side, I'll hand the mic back to Dawn, and we'll get the panel discussion going sooner rather than later. Thank you.
Excellent.